Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Friday, the 29th of April, 2022. These are the stories that we'll be discussing during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the relationship between Pakistan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is in context with the visit that our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab, along with the delegation, is undergoing as we speak. This is a 3-day official visit on the invitation of the Saudi royalty, Saudi Crown Prince, and a lot of important issues are going to be discussed during this 3-day visit. Pakistan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have always enjoyed a very cordial, formal, but a strong and brotherly relationship. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has always been there for Pakistan in times of need. How will that relationship further blossom in this 3-day visit? This is what we're going to discuss during our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Al-Quds Day. Now, the last Friday of the holy month of Ramadan is marked as International Quds Day. Many people in Iran, in Pakistan and the whole world celebrate this day by expressing solidarity with the besieged people of Palestine. Israeli atrocities in Palestine, ladies and gentlemen, continue unabated. We've seen how people are not even only being taken out of their current lodges, but they are also being subjugated to atrocities, and this is something that is not being put a stop to. Despite the international condemnation, there are certain powers that continue this unabated. This is going to be our second story, and how important is the Al-Quds Day to remind the world and to remember the people in Palestine. Then we'll be talking about the Minister for Climate Change, Shahid Rahman, who has issued a public safety advisory, a warning of a severe heat wave that is imminent in Pakistan. Temperatures all over the country are expected to rise between 6 to 8 degrees above average this year. The NDMA is also an alert as we speak. And of course, this is quite unusual. At the same time, we see that we are in the holy month of Ramzan, so we need to take extreme care and be very vigilant as far as this heat wave is concerned. And finally, we'll be talking about Thar Parker that hits the headlines for basic facilities, but what it never is being talked about is the cordial relationship, the friendship that exists between the different religions that are present in Thar Parker. It is of course dominated by the Hindu community, but they celebrate, not only do they celebrate the Muslim festivals like Ramzan, like Eid, and have Iftar with the Muslim community, but they also help their Muslim brethren in need. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns the relationship between Pakistan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in context of the visit of our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab with the delegation on a 3-day important official visit to the kingdom. More in the following report.
The brotherly relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, with decades of close economic, political and military ties, is undergoing historic rejuvenation. On the invitation of Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will travel to Saudi Arabia on his maiden official visit abroad, during which he will hold talks with the top Saudi leadership. According to a statement issued by Prime Minister's office, the Premier will be accompanied by a high-level delegation, including key members of the cabinet. To further augment and diversify their bilateral ties in all spheres, Premier will have bilateral interaction with the Saudi leadership. Minister for Information and Broadcasting Maryam Aurangzeb emphasized that this visit will mark a new historic chapter in this exemplary friendship between our two great nations. Exhibiting fraternal ties between the two countries, Mohammed bin Salman was the first foreign leader to telephone the Prime Minister and congratulate him for taking charge as the country's Prime Minister earlier this month. The Prime Minister thanked the Crown Prince for the felicitations and expressed his resolve to work closely with the kingdom to enhance and further strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have a lasting bond of Islamic brotherhood, whereby both countries support each other at regional and global forums.
We've been joined by Rana Ather Javed. He's the Director General Pakistan House, and he's right here in the studios with us. Rana Saab, thank you very much to have joined us and to have come all the way in the studios during the holy month of Ramzan. Rana Saab, Pakistan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, their friendship is time tested. The kingdom has always been there for Pakistan in times of need. It has always helped Pakistan, whether it be in calamities or whether it be when Pakistan needed economic or financial help. How important do you feel under the current economic crisis that Pakistan is engulfed in, is this visit of Shehbaz Sharif Sahab along with the delegation?
Thank you very much, Omar. I think it's of significant importance because in all the times of need, as you mentioned in your intro, Saudi Arabia came absolutely strong and stood with Pakistan. I mean, not in any government in the previous governments, that the state of Pakistan felt that Saudi's brothers were not there. So the government actually, it's because of the special relationship between people to people and also religious understanding of the two custodians, the two holy places. And the King of Saudi Arabia and also the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, actually since their emergence as the global leadership, they have specifically focused on two important things. One is the modernization of Saudi Arabia, which their vision is for the Saudis opening up more to the
Vision 2030.
The Vision 2030. And one of the components in that vision is that they are expanding relations, including Pakistan, on a scale of not only supporting in terms of the deficit, if we feel in the budget deficit, or in the area of oil for deferred payments, but they also actually, as you know, had a discussion and already MOUs are signed in building some kind of oil refinery in the Balochistan, and there are many other projects which are in the pipeline. So I would say this visit would definitely contribute the ongoing progress which we have made. And Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, we have come a very long way. We always been stood side by side in international conflicts, regional conflicts. And like Saudi Arabia, Pakistan has relations with other Gulf states, and we have relations with other countries as well. Like Saudi Arabia has relations with India and other countries. Pakistan also does have a relation with Iran, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar.
Of course.
And this makes Pakistan and Saudi's relation really natural. We have to have an organic and a natural relationship which sustains for a long time. And the component which you mentioned, basically, that they support us when we really need it, it's because of the COVID-19 and all other previous calamities and the regional situation in Afghanistan, Pakistan faced, and the war on terror. Pakistan severely suffered at the hands of the foreign sponsored terrorism, which is ongoing. Under this framework, if we look into two countries which really come forward, I would say, in terms of supporting Pakistan's needs, infrastructure building and other, is the Chinese and then the Saudis. Saudis, I said why we said the special relation, because of our heart, all the Muslims, the heart is there. Their relationship with the Saudis is not only about the royalty, it's also about the holy places, about their people's generosity. And the other factor which I think is important is that the millions of people, Pakistanis, they have been working as economic migrants in Saudi Arabia. And they have, for the past 65, 70 years, have contributed tremendously in building Saudi Arabia.
All right, let's talk about the Pakistani expatriates. More than 2 million Pakistani expatriates in different fields, whether it be skilled workers, doctors, engineers, or working in the construction industry. There are a whole lot of different avenues in which Pakistan is contributing in the Saudi economy. Do you feel that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia understands Pakistan's contribution there as well? Do you feel the kingdom also wants to increase the number of Pakistani expatriates or skilled workers inside the kingdom because of the new projects that it has in hand under the Vision 2030? What do you feel is going to happen as far as Pakistani skilled workers or expatriates in the kingdom is concerned? Do you feel that might increase?
I think actually it might and it should, basically. And it's also it depends also on Pakistani. I think the government, the current government should, and any government must actually initiate a special program, try to do a joint venture, or present our skilled workers, engineer, doctors, in order for 5 years, 10 years deputation plan from our government sectors to theirs, and or creating such joint ventures in Saudi Arabia vis-a-vis between Pakistani top business entrepreneurs and theirs in infrastructure building. That will help. You know, FW have done a tremendous work in Africa, for example, also in the Gulf areas. And there are other big construction companies of Pakistan who can contribute to that. By this, I mean is that professionals, as many as professionals in the field of IT, software development, or artificial intelligence and infrastructure building, Pakistanis has been contributing. The doctors have been always there. From the military point of view, Pakistan had been part of since 80s, and before that, Pakistan has tremendously contributed in training and I would say in preparing Saudi Arabia for their defense. And of course, there had been other international powers and technologies being involved like US, France, Britain. But Pakistan's role has always been as part of the training and education.
Speaking of training education, what about the information technology? We know that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is quite aggressive as far as putting the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia into the new century, and for that information technology plays a very important part. We have got a lot of interesting workers as far as the IT sector is concerned. We've been working quite diligently in that sector. Do you feel the kingdom could also take the Pakistani help in that regard in this sector as well, or both countries could help each other improve the IT sector?
I think they can, because Pakistan now is I think almost number 2 in the world on outsourcing. Pakistan software houses are doing tremendous job for European countries, Scandinavians, for the United States. And after the Ukraine crisis, most of the work has gone to Vietnam, and the work in Vietnam and the other Eastern European countries have been there. And I think India, if we look into this now, India is going down in terms of outsourcing. They are their own, of course. They are the biggest IT venture. They are the big countries with the foreign direct investment and the joint venture. They are doing great. But Pakistan, on the other hand, is emerging star. And I think it is time that Pakistan should develop some kind of joint ventures in which they can create at least two places, one in Saudi Arabia and here sister IT cities, as they do it actually. But what they do is they will, like they've done in India and there was the country, the small place IT park they develop in one country, and then they create the sort of relationship between them, and the half part is there. For example, in the field of solar back in 8-9 years, there was a development that from Scandinavian countries, people went to Saudi Arabia and sat in the universities, developed some project together, then involved the production through Denmark and other countries. Same they did to the windmill, and they involved Chinese and artificial intelligence they are doing with Chinese now. And I think in the field of defense, in the field of IT, there is a great opportunity that where they have to innovate the conventional methods and come into, if there is no work involved, you generate work. Generation of work is the ideas from where they emerge, that should we develop some kind of big venture in which we target one area, for example, like in cybersecurity, like in automation, for example, in the healthcare, development of devices for hearing aid, for heart devices, for these stents which you put in the heart. I mean, all these things can be done because most of the European countries, especially the Scandinavian countries and the Western European, they have developed their niche in 2 or 3 devices first. And I think that's one of the advantages of innovation, that you should create an innovation center, which can be Pak Saudi Innovation Center. One is there. It should focus only on IT and only on the development of the new, maybe robotic, maybe in terms of disability. We have a very special war-wounded people. They can be developed devices which can help them to move better and for the mobility. So I think overall, if I, in a traditional manner, that we will discuss the current financial crisis, but the real deal comes when you propose futuristic projects. And that means that any government comes, these projects should continue. This is why I call it strategic planning, that you do a strategic communication on the basis of your planning.
And that is, I think, very important, Rana Sahab, because
because that's what you can give to the next generation.
And
of
it's
Saudis
very important for
and
any
Pakistan.
country such as Pakistan also to be export oriented,
Absolutely.
to be exporting more than rather than importing. Now, between Pakistan, Rana Sahab, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the first treaty of friendship was signed way back in 1951. Since then, the relationship has only solidified, and there have been numerous agreements, MOUs signed in different sectors, whether it be education, scientific cooperation, vocational cooperation, consultation between the foreign ministries. There's a joint ministerial commission as well between the two brotherly countries as well. When we come to economy, not much has been worked upon as far as further solidifying trade between the two countries. What can be done to improve on that?
Yeah, I think on this, Saudis have to take some initiative as well, because Saudis are at a upper place in terms of, because Saudis have India is a very big trade partner, and also the this export-import is with India is a larger, one of the largest. I think what Saudis can do is that we are not asking for taking from India and give it to us, but they can also consider Pakistan's HR. It's not only, we don't want only to provide and supply them ordinary workers. We want them to supply professionals, but with also we do the joint product development. And that's what you are referring to.
You know, in Pakistan, we have the special economic zones. Also in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there are 6 economic cities in different regions of the country to promote foreign investment. Don't you feel both the countries can learn from each other's expertise and maybe contribute?
Yeah, I think so, because they are developing now Neon, the city, the most modern city in the world maybe, in which French and some other Western countries are involved in the project building. I think if Pakistani investors and Pakistani big cash holders can just jump into that, and through the government, if they're able to develop a third party, some project into that city, that will mark the presence of Pakistan. In the field of education, I think Saudis have developed tremendously in the higher education, in IT universities, one of the biggest and the most modern university in Jeddah. And I think that can be replicated here in this country with the Saudi investments, and the half investment may be coming from Pakistani investors. Because when all money comes from Saudi Arabia, that actually kills the project. You have to have some kind of joint ventures.
True.
Where you have a 50% funding, infrastructure building may be paid by Saudis and equipment, and the Pakistanis can provide all the land and other human resource and the development of the labs. I think that can be done, and that is a possibility. That's why I'm saying going towards the innovation center, development of the product which can earn money for the Pakistani entrepreneurs is really an excellent idea. It's happening.
All right.
Pakistan is doing with other countries.
Also, when it comes to leasing facilities, Pakistan understands that, has been working in this sector for quite some time. Now that the kingdom is also opening these 6 economic zones in different parts of the country, do you feel Pakistani expertise could be sought out as far as, for example, Modarba is concerned, or conventional financial products is concerned, so as to lay down the base for the banking procedures in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for these 6 economic zones?
I think it's a brilliant idea. It has to go through like in the recent judgment which passed about the Sharia court as well. That also involves, and the Saudis also is known for the biggest Qarz Hasna programs they have. They have done most of their regional and internal investment based on that, which they call it crowdfunding, like thousands and 500, 1,000 million or a billionaire can come together, and they do joint funding and investment in there, and that also involves service industry, but mainly also commercial aspect. So they can do it. I mean, we really need to, as I said, to generate work apart from what we are going to ask them. We should also ask them this intangible terms that let's do this one.
And let's work together,
Let's work together actually, because this is, as we said, this is one country which will and has been stood by Pakistan in all testing times.
Also, now that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is also developing its private sector, do you feel that the Pakistani private sector could also educate or maybe enlighten its counterpart in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in order to how to move forward?
The two industries I would point out. One is agriculture. We really need to learn from Saudi Arabia, although Saudis were not an agriculture country, but they have developed these most modern technology in which they are producing, and they are also have done an excellent job in their deserts. And the second is pharmaceutical industry. Our pharmaceutical industry have a lot of issues too. One of the main issues that we do not have clinical testing labs where we could develop our own. When you develop medicine, you have 5 to 10 years this clinical testing time. Only 2-3 labs, I think, exist when Shaukat Khanam, Aga Khan or Shifa, but not at a level where India might have several dozens of it. So I think pharmaceutical industry there must be a joint ventures between private companies, the top private companies, the pharmaceutical industry, and the transportation. The transportation Pakistan lacks in big cities, in Karachi, in Lahore and other places. If you have a uniformity of a transportation system, we could learn from Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is every year, and they host so many millions of pilgrims, and that's one of the reasons that we can develop on that level with that frame of thinking, but develop for our own millions of people in Karachi. They need really a transport which should be owned by, it should be semi-government, because the private transporters, what they do is good to involve them, maybe 20%, 60% shares. What happens to the private governments, private problems is that whenever they have issues with the government, they will go on strike. And as you must have noticed, especially on special occasions, and then there is a quality of the transport vehicles is very bad. Then you have a problem of emission of the, then the climate change and all other issues. So if we really want to do it, these areas are the one areas which will get us to the next level of understanding of the social development. And that social development indicators are that pharmaceutical, because of the health reasons, you have to have our health system is in tatters, as we all know, because of the medicine we receive is almost 70-80%, as they say, maybe more than, is not proper medicine, and it's as we say, fake medicines. So medicine, pharmaceutical, and this transportation and this infrastructure, these 2-3 elements are important, and they are doable. They are not like from another world. They are for the ordinary people.
All right.
Those your 60-70% middle class which work in offices, schools, and private sector, public sector, they are the one who needs to be receiving the relief from the government.
All right. Coming to one of the major reasons which a lot of sources say that the current delegation is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is to seek an increase in oil facility amount, and secondly to renegotiate the terms of the 2021 accord. How important are these two aspects as far as the Saudi help to Pakistan is concerned, and how willing, in your point of view, will the Saudi government be to help Pakistan?
I think, to be honest, so as I said, Saudis have always been helpful to any government which Pakistan had. This time we had a problem because with the IMF and our price hike and the dollar and the inflation and all that, and which most of the countries, to be honest, felt during this COVID-19, not especially Pakistan, the European countries, Americans felt it.
Of course.
So coming out of that at a sustainable level, I think Saudis will be receptive. And I think Saudis will give us really a relief, and maybe it won't be conditional, like the conditional mean. The return and the deferred payments may be an extended period of time. So any governments coming in future should not be worried about that.
All right.
I think that's the right way to do, and I feel there is a logic in it, and I'm sure Saudis will respect that Pakistan also has been supportive too. So it's not conditional or transaction relations.
True.
But Saudis,
it's a friendship. It's a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood, and it's in the time of need, a friend does exactly what Saudis and Pakistan has been doing to each other.
Thank you very much, Rana. Ather, Javed Sahab, DG Pakistan House, to be talking about the relationship between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and of course in the context of the visit of our Premier Shehbaz Sharif Sahab with his delegation. And of course it's a 3-day important visit. Let's hope good things emanate out of it and our friendship and our brotherhood becomes even stronger at the end of this visit. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. Let's come to our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, and the second story concerns the Al-Quds Day. Now, the Al-Quds Day is always celebrated on the last Friday of the holy month of Ramzan. Why? To make the people across the world understand more the plight of the Palestinian people. This is an initiative that was started by Iran, and it has more or less trickled down across all the Muslim and the non-Muslim world. More in the following report.
74 years of oppression, displacement, murder, imprisonment, assault, denigration and misery, the Palestinian people have been resisting the Israeli Zionist occupying regime day and night for 3/4 of a century. In order to show solidarity with the Palestinians, on August 7, 1979, late founder of the Islamic Revolution, Imam Ruhollah Musawi Khomeini, designated the last Friday of holy month Ramadan as the International Al-Quds Day. Since then, Al-Quds Day has become day all Muslims and oppressed people across the world rally for Al-Quds and Palestine against the Zionist occupation. As Muslim Ummah worldwide marks the International Quds Day, Palestinians have turned out en masse for prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque as a portrayal of national solidarity against the occupying Israeli regime. At least 250,000 Palestinian worshippers congregated at the mosque in the old city of occupied Al-Quds to perform prayers, defying Israeli threats against such gatherings. Al-Quds Day is a great opportunity to emphasize to the world that freedom of Palestine remains the main issue in the Islamic world. Muslims will never abandon their principles and ideals, including liberation of Palestine, and will continue to promise the Palestinians that in their struggle against Israel's imperial tyranny, they are not alone and all Muslims of the world will always stand by them.
Middle East expert Ahmed Zaki joins us online to talk about the importance and the significance of the Al-Quds Day. Thank you very much, Ahmed, to have joined us. Ahmed, in this day and age when we see the barbarities being perpetrated by Israel on the Palestinians, and of course this continuation of these barbarities, of these atrocities, with a large part of the world turning a blind eye to it, and it reminds us a lot of what is happening in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The fact remains that there is an aggressor in the region, there is an aggressor that is there since decades, and it is pushing the people, the genuine locators of the people, genuine inhabitants of Palestine out of the region where they have been living throughout their lives and for generations. When we also look at the plight of the Palestinian people and the fact that not many countries are reacting the way that they should, what should be the point of view, what should be the way ahead as far as the Palestinian people are concerned when we look at a very important day that is today, that is the Al-Quds Day, and we look at the background of it as well when it was started way back by Iran, by Mr. Khomeini in 1979 when he declared the last day of the holy month of Ramzan as the International Al-Quds Day. Since then, countries like Iran have been propagating for the rights of the people of Palestine, for the oppressed people of Palestine. Khomeini also declared the liberation of Jerusalem as a religious duty to all Muslims. In different countries now, you know, this Al-Quds Day is celebrated, whether it be in Pakistan, whether it be in Lebanon, whether it be in Jordan or in other countries, even non-Muslim states. The Al-Quds Day is celebrated with the view, with the pledge for helping the people of Palestine. Ahmed Zaki, Middle East expert, joins us online. Ahmed, thank you very much to have joined us. Ahmed, the Al-Quds Day is a very sad reminder of the atrocities that the Palestinian people are engulfed in, are being subjected to since decades. Ahmed, when you look at the current state of affairs as far as Palestine is concerned, do you see a ray of light? Do you feel that the countries that form part of the Muslim bloc, or even those that are not part of the Muslim bloc, can help the Palestinians? Ahmed Zaki, can you hear us? I think there's some kind of lapse as far as Mr. Zaki listening to us is concerned. Nevertheless, the fact remains, let's continue talking a little bit about the Al-Quds Day and of course the significance of it. The Al-Quds Day not only celebrated in Pakistan but also in Arab and Muslim world, and protests against Israel's occupation of East Jerusalem being of course the main focus of attention of this very important day. Rallies are held in various cities, as I said, in various Muslim and non-Muslim countries across the world. If we look at the history of the Al-Quds Day, an annual anti-Zionist day of protest was first suggested by Ibrahim Yazdi. He was the first foreign minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the leader of the Iranian Revolution, Ruhollah Khomeini, and the context was of one of deepening tensions between Israel and Lebanon at that time. But Khomeini adopted Yazdi's idea, and on the 7th of August 1979, he declared that the last Friday of the holy month of Ramzan will be each year celebrated as Quds Day, in which Muslims worldwide will unite in solidarity against Israel and in support of the Palestinians. Now, Quds is the Arabic name for Jerusalem. That is why the day is known as Al-Quds Day. The fact also remains that there are a lot of positive sentiment as far as the people of Palestine are concerned and the atrocities that they are being subjected to since decades. And the fact remains that they are continuously under this pressure by the Israelis to not only vacate their lands but to also not utter a word whenever these atrocities are committed by the Israelis. Ahmed Zaki, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, Ahmed, can you hear us?
Still voice is not coming.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, as far as the Al-Quds Day is concerned, as I was saying, we will of course try to get hold of Mr. Ahmed Zaki as soon as he does get hold of his side of the issue as to why he can't hear us. And nevertheless, outside of the Middle East and the wider Arab world, the Quds Day protests have been taking place in countries such as the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Sweden, France, the United States, and some predominantly Muslim countries in East Asia as well. Ahmed Zaki, can you hear us now?
If you can hear me, I cannot hear anything.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed Zaki, some kind of an issue maybe remains as far as the technicalities is concerned. Nevertheless, we are talking about the Al-Quds Day. We are talking about 250,000 Muslim worshippers that also gathered to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque ahead of the Al-Quds Day in Iran and in other countries across the world as well. The occasion has, as I said, been designated by Imam Khomeini, the late founder of the Islamic Republic of Iran. There has been a grand assembly of people and Twitter users all over, and especially people on social media, on other platforms as well, have widely shared videos and photos of the prayers on their different accounts. We know about the tensions that exist between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Ahmed Zaki, can you hear us now? Well, when we talk about the tensions between Palestine and Israel, it has ramped up since the beginning of Ramzan, with the Israeli forces stepping up raids of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, assaulting Muslim worshippers inside prayer halls and providing protection to the Israeli settlers, desecrating Islam's third holiest site. Now, last Friday, if you recall, at least 150,000 Palestinians thronged the Al-Aqsa Mosque to attend prayers, despite the restrictions imposed on the entry of the worshippers to the holy site. On the same day as well, the Israeli forces raided the mosque after dawn prayers and fired rubber-coated bullets, stun grenades and tear gas at the Palestinian worshippers at the Dome of the Rock inside of the compound. Now, people today in Iran as well as in other countries from all walks of life poured to the streets on Friday to mark the annual International Quds Day. Ahmed Zaki, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you right now.
All right, wonderful. Ahmed Zaki, I was kind of explaining a little bit of the history and the present situation as far as the Al-Quds Day is concerned. Looking at the relevance of this day for the Muslim world and for the Palestinians in particular, how important is it for the world to realize, whether it be the Muslim world or the non-Muslim world, to realize, to understand and to move forward with positive and tangible steps to create some kind of neutrality or normality for the people of Palestine?
Thank you for inviting me. If I start with the day, that it is that the people of Palestine should demonstrate their feelings and freedom against and the Quds Day is very not only the Muslim world, but the whole community of the world. That that's all.
All right, Ahmed Zaki, there's some kind of an issue as far as the audio is concerned. We still can't hear you properly. Nevertheless, how important is the role being played by the OIC and other important countries as far as the resolution to this Palestinian issue is concerned? And do you feel the United Nations also needs to step in order to find solutions instead of just resolutions?
It's very important that unanimous resolution for the Palestinian independence. OIC countries should have to come together to protect the rights of the Palestinians. Even though we know that if we face extreme actions, this becomes like what I said, that we should have to watch every year that the Palestinians have been aggressive and Palestinians have taken their rights away by their Israel.
That is true. Ahmed Zaki, thank you very much. That was Ahmed Zaki, Middle East expert, talking to us. There was some kind of an audio issue due to which we could not understand him properly. Nevertheless, the Muslim world is trying to unite itself as far as the Palestinian issue is concerned. Also, Saudi Arabia on Wednesday had reaffirmed to the United Nations its stance over Palestine. It called for an end to the Israeli occupation, the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, and the guaranteed right of return to refugees. It also talked about the two-state solution and strategic option to end the conflict in accordance with the international references, the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, the return of refugees, and putting an end to Israel's occupation of all Arab territories. Whether it be the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, whether it be Iran, whether it be other important Muslim countries, the Al-Quds Day is a sad reminder of what is happening to the Palestinian people, and it is very important for the entire Muslim world and also parts of the non-Muslim world to unite as one to find a solution, a tangible solution to this burning issue that has been burning since the last few decades. Let's come to our last two stories very quickly. The first concerns Pakistan, that is witnessing a severe heat wave this year. Climate Change Ministry has issued an alert. The NDMA also is on the standby and has issued an alert. The Minister for Climate Change, Shari Rahman, has also issued a public safety advisory warning of a severe heat wave that is imminent in our country. Temperatures are expected to rise by 6 to 8 degrees above average this year. The Pakistan Met Department has also reported that March 2022 has been the hottest month since the year 1961, and also that rainfall recorded in the month of March alone was 62% less than normal, and that is also one of the reasons why the country is heating up quicker than expected. And The minister also said that one short-term solution to the heat wave was to provide cool centres fully equipped with water and fans for the general public, and to have tree shade accessible to the public. She added that it is imperative for all stakeholders to help citizens take the precautionary actions in time. It is not only the responsibility of the government, it is also the responsibility of the people to be extremely vigilant in these days, nowadays, and the days to come. There are a lot of people are fasting, so they need to be extra careful, and afterwards the heat is going to increase, so we need to be extremely careful so as to avoid heat waves for us and for our loved ones. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's come to Thar and the Hindu community that is in majority in the region that hosts iftars in a great show of religious harmony. We've seen religious harmony in Thar not since now but since always. The different communities there throng together, live together. The Hindu community in Thar also celebrates the holy month of Ramzan by also fasting along with their Muslim brethren. Iftar parties are a norm where the Hindu community invites the Muslim brethren to break the fast with them. And it's very important in this day and age, ladies and gentlemen, to have what we call interfaith harmony. When we see across the world people of different faiths at loggerheads and of course starting campaigns against each other, when you look at examples such as what is in Thar you can only can bring a smile to your face, because this is what is really needed in other parts of our country, in other parts across the world, for this interfaith harmony, for a dialogue, for people of different faiths and religions to live and work together. This is what our Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always taught, to respect other religions, to respect other faiths. In this day and age, I think nothing is more important than that. The respect of each other's faiths and the respect of each other's traditions. And this is what the people in Thar are showing to the entire world. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. Today is Friday and of course the last day of the week. We wish you a great weekend ahead. We also wish you a blessed fast ahead. And of course the Eid ul-Fitr is upcoming. So if Monday is Eid ul-Fitr in advance, Eid ul-Fitr Mubarak to all of you who are celebrating. With that, we come to an end of this weekend edition of Newsroom. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. We might see you again on Monday. Allah Hafiz.